The stock market's been on an incredible run. Should you follow? It's a stage where it seems almost anything goes. Of course, there are companies that have struggled. Tesla, for example, had sales fall, and of course, its stock fell, as you may know, last week, over 8%, but then it rebounded. Why? Well, actually, people believe that Tesla, ultimately, you shouldn't bet against Elon Musk. I'm one of those people, and I actually, when that fall came, I bought the dip. So what about you? What are you looking at? What stocks should you be buying? Well, certainly we're in an environment whereby you're seeing companies are beating expectations. If we go historical, 75% of companies beat their expectations when it comes to reporting figures. Last week, 15% of the S&P reported their profits, and 80%, a record high, beat expectations. So when we're looking at the market, we have to realize that yes, there are jobs being laid off, and that will ultimately drive the consumer. But right now, companies are efficient, they're effective, and ultimately the Fed is going to reduce interest rates. So when we're looking at the stock market, we're seeing massive efficiencies from companies. We're seeing companies that are using AI continuing to grow. We're seeing opportunities to invest and actually make money. However, multiples are stretched. They're really starting to be high. But if AI continues to help people develop, and I also think the Fed, they may not reduce interest rates this week when they meet. It may be, however, they hint that they're going to be doing it if the data stays the same in September. What does that mean? It means potentially you've got 2 interest rate cuts from the Fed this week. So just think, the stock market might be a high multiple, but there's opportunities for the stock market to go even higher. Okay, still, when I'm investing my money, I'm looking at diversification. Yes, there are companies that certainly are going to make money out of AI. Plenty of ways to invest on that. In fact, a supplier of Nvidia, to go one behind the companies that are doing well, its profits went up 69% last week. So just by looking at AI yourself and doing a search, you can see who supplies Nvidia, what sort of companies are growing and making profits as a result of doing that. Okay, you think about the opportunities in the defense sector. Yes, we've seen an increase in that sector with lots of those companies doing well, but it's further to go. You look at the banks, they're in a sweet spot. Interest rates are just where they need to be, particularly in Europe. Opportunities there. And indeed, as this article from CNBC says, okay, there's also opportunities in the digital asset market. All of a sudden, you're seeing that, interestingly, banks are lending against digital assets in America. In other words, stable coins are coming. Banks are able to lend against Bitcoin. So just think that how that starts to appreciate that sector. Robinhood has started to do digital shares. The growth in that sector is going to be fascinating. So when you're looking at the world and you're looking at the stock market, just realize there's always opportunities. Opportunities right now are certainly in that digital asset sector, and of course the companies I've already mentioned. However, do diversify. Diversification means we don't know exactly what's going to happen. If inflation does go up and then the Fed doesn't reduce rates, okay, guess what? You're going to get some volatility. But right now, it'd be crazy to miss out on the growth potential. There's definitely opportunities in the stock market right now. Don't miss out. Make sure you talk to a good advisor, and just make sure you got that diversification in order to get the best returns.